who can speak to both occasions is myself. Because when I became a Minister of Education in 1994, the last loan given by the World Bank before Barbados was graduated from being able to borrow from the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development was a loan for education. And the then government of the Democratic Labour Party in the early 1990s committed to charging fees at the University of the West Indies, the Barbados Community College, and the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute. Having failed, because the good people of Barbados had the sense to elect the Barbados Labour Party, who could manage this economy without making poor people, children, pay for education in this country, we went through a period from 1994 until 2008 when we were there, and the Democratic Labour Party continued for another 5 years, when on the 8th of August 2013, on the 8th of August 2013, a death sentence was sent down on poor people, children in this country by the charging of fees at the University of the West Indies, and with a clear indication that more was to follow at the Barbados Community College and the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute. The Deputy Prime Minister, upon election in this country, she was not deputy then, was Minister of Education. And between herself and the member for Christchurch East Central, the Honourable Minister in the Ministry of Finance, along with myself, paid to the wicked and iniquitous policy that saw Barbadian children. And there are members of the Democratic Labour Party to this day that they wonder, where are they? Why are they not supporting us in George Street? And to my certain knowledge, many of them have said, because a crime was committed against my children when the Democratic Labour Party chose to remove free education at the tertiary level. So I don't mind all of this bluster in here. Sir, it is the same bluster that caused him to talk about how many members of Parliament inside the House when the member for St. Thomas had to remind him that he was the one person that the Chief Whip and the government could not rely on to be in Parliament on a Tuesday when the Tuesday comes. So he knows well how not to be here. His problem is that he has no choice now because he is one, however disingenuously so.
Your Honor, do I look afraid to you? Your Honor, do I look afraid to you? I'm not afraid. I don't care who they bring. I don't care who they bring. And I'm going to respond and say to this government, the letter, sir, through you to the Honourable Member for St. James North and to the Honourable Member for St. Michael North East, the letter is not about numbers. So don't come in here and tell me it is about zero balance.
Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member sat, and I think that he was inviting me, since he has admitted that he is my proxy in George Street, he is inviting me to help him further by saying that the only body who cannot talk about free education in this Parliament is somebody leading the Democratic Labour Party.
Honourable Gracious, so
Thank you.
Do I look afraid to you, sir?
Continue, Honourable.
Do I look afraid to you, sir?
Continue.
I'm not afraid, you know. I don't care who they bring. I don't care who they bring. They got more? Tell them come. The letter is not about numbers. The letter is about an intent. The letter is an intent to punish the children of Barbados with the payment of fees if their behavior in school does not improve. I look frightened to you, sir.
Speaker, sir.
Honourable Prime Minister.
The Honourable Member is entitled to his own opinion, which more often than not is wrong. And his ability to move with ease from party to party to party to party shows that he does not have a constant opinion that can anchor him. But having said that, I want it to be made absolutely clear to the people of this country who must not be misled by a member who has nothing to say on the loans that are before this House, but is now choosing to go far and wide and to create mischief, deliberately so, when, as Prime Minister of this nation, and the Minister of Education so charged with the responsibility, along with the Minister of Tertiary Education, for the provision of education to Barbadians, have said absolutely no fees for any Barbadian. This is an article of faith. And you know, sir, what makes this even worse? He signed the document. He signed the manifesto. He signed the commitment to ensure that that is the case. But he seems now to have his head muddled, and hides behind the fact that he is not afraid, but there's nothing to be afraid of. So that the only body who is casting out the fear and then trying to knock it down is he himself. But that is because, as usual, there is nothing to say on the substance of the motions before the Honourable Chamber.
And I applaud the government for, another one. I applaud the government for the increase in numbers. When I started this afternoon, I frightened. I'm frightened for that one. That's the one I'm frightened for. You know, Your Honor, they got more to come, you know?
Honourable, that you remember him, Thomas, that is your friend. That is your friend, not your antagonist. You speak very highly of her in this honourable chamber, you do.
So back to the letter, sir. Look, I sympathize with them for the disorder that is occurring in the schools of this country. I can look around this chamber and I see several parents, as I said, natural and adoptive. And the level of violence in the schools disturbs us. And I have the right to say what the people of Barbados are saying. That the levels of violence in Barbados and in Barbados' schools needs to be curbed and controlled. And I think the people of Barbados would love it if the Honourable Minister of Education would confess that he is having some difficulty managing the school population. You only have to go on your WhatsApp medium from time to time and see the fights. You only have to take testimony from teachers.
I remember this has to do with the alone.
Oh, yes.
Violence and the alone.
Yes,
There's a
Your
nexus.
Honor. Look.
I remember there's a nexus.
Beg pardon?
There is a nexus between.
Oh, yes. The Honourable Member for Christchurch, East Central, this morning spoke as to policy-based loans. I don't write notes because I have a good handwriting, which I don't. I write notes so that I can follow debates in here. And the Honourable Member for Christchurch East Central got up in here this morning and thanked several of his colleagues. He said Christchurch East, the Honourable Member for Christchurch East solved the sewage problem. He said the Honourable Member for St. Michael East solved the garbage truck problem. The Honourable Member for St. Michael South Central solved the bus problem, all social services and the delivery of those services. And so, Your Honor, I reserve the right to respond in kind. And education was mentioned. The Honourable Member for Christchurch East Central mentioned education. He spoke, the Honourable Member spoke of the construction of some educational plant somewhere. I had it written, but the point is, the loan is for the delivery of social services, and the Honourable Member for Christchurch East Central spoke with particularity as to the delivery of social services. Education was included, and I am including it now. And I am saying that there is no satisfactory plan to solve the problem of education in this country. Your Honor, you know what the Honourable Member for Christchurch East Central said in here this morning? He said, the Honourable Member said, that the loans are going to retrofit schools for the disabled. And we applaud that. But I say that to say that reference was made to the educational plan in this country. And the Honourable Member confessed that he had the privilege, the pleasure of delivering the guest lecture at the speech day last week. And I saw the next day in the paper that he went to his alma mater, yours as well, sir. And that is going to be the first school with an elevator. And that is this government's contribution to education in this country, to build an elevator at his alma mater. First out the blocks, he says. But I am saying that he has not resolved the problem that confronts the Honourable Member for St. James North. Because the Honourable Member for St. James North has a big problem on his hands. He has a dilemma. And he is charged with responsibility on behalf of this government to resolve the crisis in education. Education which is being delivered as a social service. Education which is being delivered at high cost. It has never ceased to be of high value, but the cost and zero balance. You think it needs this Honourable Minister in office to tell the people about the cost? They know. The people of Barbados over the years have consented to make their taxes available for two institutions, two services, education and health. That agreement is written in stone, that every government must commit itself to bearing the costs of education and health. This government, and this is my opinion, and I'm not alone in this opinion, this government is threatening the people of Barbados that education, with its high costs, that the taxpayers will be asked to bear even higher costs within privatization of that service. That is what the people in this country fear. And if it sounds bad to this government, it is bad. It is bad. It is a bad thing to do. All these years after 1961, and I'm not backing down. Do I look afraid to you, sir? I'm not.
Honourable St. James North.
Mr. Speaker, I raise on a point of order. I want to make it very clear again, Mr. Speaker. The government has no intention of privatizing our education in Barbados. It will remain free at the point of delivery for the people of this country. I want to repeat it again. Maybe I should say in French for the Honourable Member for Christchurch South, but doesn't know if he's fluent in French or Spanish or German, so I would choose English. If he wants me to say in Bajan, I will say so. It can remain free, Mr. Speaker. But do not mislead the public of this country for cheap political gains. It is wrong, it is unjust. And I ask for him, as he continues to make his intervention, to speak the truth and to speak it with a level of honesty that will not just mislead this House, but to ensure that the country will not be misled, particularly on key matters of governance and policy in this country.
The people of this country will accept if the Honourable Member for St. James North gets up in here this afternoon and apologizes to the people of Barbados and says that he will no longer send the letter. He has the opportunity to get up now and promise the people of Barbados that the letter will not be sent. And in fact, what I am doing now, I am demanding that this government withdraws its intention to send that contemptuous and scurrilous letter to the people of Barbados. There's no need for it. There is absolutely no need for it, because the Honourable Member has been given the opportunity here today to explain why he is sending the letter. And of course, Your Honour, he admits that he's going to send it. He doesn't say when, but the people, the parents of this country, are trembling at the prospect of receiving it, and they're trembling at future prospect. Now, we have forced the Honourable Member, and this is beautiful. We have forced the Honourable Member to withdraw, to resile from any intention that they may have had. I choose my words very carefully, that they may have had. And the honourable member has now said to the people of Barbados, we are not intending to charge you. We are not intending to charge you. We are not so immodest as to take credit for it. But with that statement made to the people of Barbados, I asked the government to go further and tell the people of Barbados that the letter will be withdrawn. I don't know if they typed it already. I don't know if the postmen who were assigned to do the enumeration exercise have that letter to deliver. We don't know. But please, government, please withdraw the letter. That is not, look, we're in the season of Advent. That is not a good Christmas package to receive. That on the eve of Christmas, a postman turns up with a letter of that nature and quality and unkind as it is. What is its purpose? Zero balance. I repeat, in closing this part of the discussion, it is not about numbers. It is about dignity. It is about the dignified right of every child to enjoy access to free education without a threat, without a veiled threat as to the withdrawal of that service by this government. Withdraw the letter. If it is written, tear it up. I asked the honourable member for St. James North not even to think of putting his signature on that document. I move on, sir. I move on. And you know this government is going to have a hard time defending against that charge. This government is going to have a hard time defending against the charge that it intends, or that it had the intent before today, to charge the people of this country, the poor people of this country, to go to school.
Honourable, continue. Continue, Honourable. Bless yourself.
You know that's a breach of the standing orders. The honourable member for St. James North got up 3 or 4 times.
Honourable, I determined with the breach of the standing orders. That is my domain.
But
I am responsible for that.
You know,
no other member in this chamber has the authority to speak about any breach. That is my sole domain, and it shall so remain. Continue, Honourable Member, brace yourself.
what is ironic is that we were discussing violence. When he said it, I thought somebody had fired a gunshot. But he's running all over St. Peter now.
Honourable Member, please continue as it relates to the debate. Don't cast your sight on.
Yeah,
Please. Please do not speak across the floor. Speak to the chair.
This is the first time he's canvassing St. Peter
Honourable
since
members,
2018.
please speak to the chair.
He couldn't canvass the last election because it was COVID. The last time he went in St. Peter is 2018.
Honourable Member, please refer to that person as the Honourable Member, not he.
Apart from going home.
Please refer to that person as the Honourable Member. Please.
Yes. The Honourable Member for St. Peter has delivered no service to the people in St. Peter except to say hi on his way home. And he all over St. Peter now scrambling. First, he campaigned.
Honourable Member, campaigning in St. Peter or St. John or St. Joseph has nothing to do with the resolution before this Honourable Chamber. Leave that for soap opera outside of this chamber. The time will come when you all can do that. Please continue with the debate, sir.
Tell him don't interrupt me. Because the Honourable Member was canvassing in Boscobel last week. I thought Boscobel was a strong B area. He down there begging people to vote for him. But let us move on. Let us move on, sir. Now, we were saying that the government will find it difficult to defend that letter. Now, if I say to this Parliament that the letter is expected before Christmas, is the Honourable Minister of Education willing to get up in here and say that the letter will not be delivered before Christmas? Or is the Honourable Member for St. James North willing to say that the letter will not be sent at all? Will we leave this debate with the people of Barbados not hearing that the government intends to withdraw the letter? Will they withdraw the letter in shame and silence, or will they deliver an official statement of withdrawal? The people await. And let me tell you why, Your Honor, people are afraid of the letter. There's another social service, transport. The Honourable Member for St. Michael Southeast is in here. And the Honourable Member for St. Michael Southeast is also the Minister of Transport and Works. And the Honourable Member for St. Michael Southeast has told the people of this country that the Transport Board will be divested, sold, sent into private hands. That is a social service that has been delivered in this country for the last 70 years. Like education. Education has been delivered as a social service in this country since 1961. Two institutions, Your Honor. Education and transport. Two treasured institutions in this country that have brought dignity into the lives of poor people. And you don't have to be poor to admit that you enjoy the benefits of education and public transport. And this government, the Prime Minister, the Honourable Prime Minister came in here and used two words just now, wicked and iniquitous. And I would have to, we're on the subject of loans, I would like to borrow those words from the Honourable Member for St. Michael Northeast. Very good. And to ask this government now to tell the people of Barbados why it intends to take poor people and middle-income people off public transport at subsidized fares, $3.50, in an economy where the cost of living is killing people. And if you privatize transport in Barbados, everybody knows, you don't have to be the economist in here, everybody knows that fares will double and almost triple. Why is this government doing this to poor people in this country? Why? Is there some good reason for this? Why are you sending a letter telling people about education is free? They knew that since 1961, after the conversation between Sir James Cameron Trudeau and Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow. They knew. They don't need any reminder from this government. This government that has betrayed the principles of social democracy. Every policy of this government is anti-people. Every policy of this government is intended to squeeze poor people in this country. Somebody has to say it. Somebody has to say it. If you want to object, my friend, stand up. I would say. I will say it. You tell me you can come over here and beat me. You can beat me? Charles? Charles? I spoke of the headless chicken earlier. Charles? Why y'all unfair in Charles, you know?
That has to do with the debate, sir? Oh, that comes in this debate?
Poor Charles. Poor Charles. But look, sir, I want the government to, not me, the people in Barbados want the Honourable Member for St. Michael Southeast, as the Minister of Education has now confessed. The Honourable Member for St. James North has now agreed that the letter has no wicked and iniquitous content, that he is willing to withdraw it.
Honourable Member, please attribute truth. I am in this chair and I hear and remember well. Please do not attribute things that have not. Honourable Member for Christchurch South, please do not attribute things to the honourable member for St. George that he has not, St. James North that he has not said. Please, please, honourable member for Christchurch. So please.
We take it then. Barbadians now take it that that letter will not come. He's silent. The honourable member for St. James North is silent. We have pleaded with the honourable member to withdraw the letter. Is he going to withdraw it, sir? Or will the children of this country get that threat for Christmas? He was about to rise. He's changed his mind. The letter is coming. The letter is coming. That's the official position of this government. This government does not care who is afraid of them. This government does not care if the people in this country are nervous. This government intends to issue that threat before Christmas. That is what this government is intending to do, and to give the parents of this country, the poor parents of this country, a sad Christmas and an unhappy New Year. I come back to transport now, because we are on the social services, and directly opposite me is the honourable member for St. Michael South East. Do I look afraid to you, sir? I'm not. And the honourable member for St. Michael South East now has to give account to the people of Barbados for another threat, a threat to close a service that has delivered to poor people in this country for the last 70 years. What say this government? What say this government to the people in Pinelands? What say this government to the people in Pie Corner and Belle Plaine? What say this government? What say this government to the people in Bayfield who can pay $3.50 and get to town, while Uber is on its way and it will cost more in an Uber taxi to get to town? This government has a lot to answer for. This government is on trial today, and I'm going to prosecute this government. How do you plead, government? How do you plead, government, about the plan to further impoverish the poor in Barbados by casting oppressive bus fares on them? How plead you, government? You are guilty, government. How do you plead? How do you plead, government? Who brought Uber into this country when an attorney general got up here 2 weeks ago and admitted that he knows the numbers of taxis that are signed up to Uber? How do you plead, government? You are guilty, government. How do you plead? Don't worry about him, sir. He can interrupt me as much as he wants. He up and down Boscobel. First BLP man in Boscobel for years. He frightened. Jason got him scrambled.
Honourable member.
He ain't coming back.
Honourable member, this has nothing to do with this debate.
Well, when he interrupts me, sir, I want
Honourable member, you don't determine this.
Jason got him.
You don't determine this, honourable member.
I beg your pardon. Your neck off. Your neck get cut off last weekend.
Honourable member, who are you referring to? Honourable member, to whom are you speaking? Please. To whom are you speaking? You have to address the chair and not speak across this chamber, the members on the other side, and not those words, honourable member.
Yes, 70 years. 70 years of service. 70 years of service, people of Barbados. 70. You want prosecuting in here today. One policy after another. The honourable member for Christchurch, he Central, got up in here this morning and talked about policy. Let me quote him directly. Policy positions. They want to give the flexibility to move the economy from where it was 7 years ago. And 7 years of famine later, the economy has not recorded any visible real growth. The growth has been inflationary. And if they're telling the people, if this government is telling the people of Barbados that there has been growth in the economy, why are people struggling the way they are? When an economy is buoyant, Your Honor, people tend to have greater spending power. People tend to have easier and greater access to the social services. They are in reversal from education back to transport. How does this government plead? This government has misled the people on the true state of this economy. But you know how this government is defining the economy? In macro terms. Debt to GDP ratio. That's what the Honourable Member said in here today about the economy. Oh, when we came in, it was don't want to misquote him, I wrote it. Debt to GDP ratio was 178%. And he boasted at the end of October, it was 99%. And he said that to applause. He said that to applause, Your Honor. But that is macro. That is macroeconomics, and that is macro analysis. And that is to characterize the economy in global terms. A pretty blanket over turmoil. The people in this country are in turmoil. There's turbulence that afflicts the lives of the people in this country. People can't get to the supermarket and get a full basket of goods. Having to make sacrifices. People with children in this country are struggling, and this government is coming in here thumping the desk. Thumping the desk. When an honourable member for Christchurch East Central tells the children who came in here this morning that this economy is doing well, how could it be doing well and people can't pay their light bill? I could point to certain members in here, but I won't, who are paying light bills on behalf of the people. There's a rush of that in this country, and there's a rush of that in certain constituencies. Certain constituencies in which unemployment is not 6%, it is more like 16% and probably 20% in some depressed constituencies. And they are being told that debt to GDP ratio is good. Debt to GDP ratio means nothing to a man who is unemployed, who has a woman who has 3 or 4 or 5 children and cannot look after them. Debt to GDP ratio means nothing to them. And there are social policy experts out there who understand what I'm saying. I wouldn't identify them, but they understand what I'm saying. So after all the interruptions have died down, let this government face the truth that this economy is not doing well. That after all the loans we had in the first 6 months of this year, those loans ought to have gone back into the economy to stimulate the economy by way of spending, to provide real jobs for people. The government ought to have made real investment into the economy. But instead, what did you have? $125 million borrowed for a hospital in St. Lucie? No account. No account given. $25 million borrowed for cricket development? No account given. If any responsible government had borrowed $25 million US for cricket development, you would have had professional cricket in Barbados. That is the failure of this government. A failure to give account. And just having the people of this country live as the recipients of sweet words that mean nothing. Sweet words that mean nothing. The people in this country are not doing well, and they're not doing well because this country is not doing well by the poor people of Barbados. This country is not doing well for the poor people of Barbados. Who is doing well, though? Who is doing well? Just a few. And a few are doing well, and the majority are doing unwell because of this government's direct policies. This is a government that rewards persons who have enough wealth to own villas. They get concessions. People who own Airbnb are punished with taxation, punished. And all of them are not poor people. They're people, middle-class people who are struggling, who want to, the children moved out. And they have vacant parts of the house, perhaps upstairs, perhaps downstairs. And they want some tourists to come in and spend 6, 8, 9 months of the year for an exchange in their hands. And while the government is giving concessions to villa owners, this government This government is giving concessions to villa owners for the purchase of a plate to put on a table, for the purchase of a piece of art, they're getting concessions. And a poor man, or a man who is not poor but is middle income, tries to pull himself up by his bootstrap, tries to live a life of commercial dignity by turning his domestic residence into a commercial enterprise, this government is punishing him. That is what this government is doing. And coming here telling me about social policy. You have a social policy expert out there. Ask him if that is good social policy. Ask him. I come back to transport. And I want this government by year end to tell the people of Barbados whether they are going to go through with the threat to condemn the people of this country to high bus fares and high taxi fares and to Uber. The Uber that they bought here, Uber was brought into this country by this government. Let them deny it. The Honourable Attorney General, I repeat, stood up in here 2 weeks ago and said he has 400 people signed up with Uber. They've sabotaged the broadcast. It's back. It's back. It's back. You know, it became so contemptuous, Your Honor, on this transport thing. The Honourable member stood up in here this morning, that is the Honourable member for Christchurch East Central, stood up in here this morning and said, you will see some buses marked China A, and some China B, and some IDB Smart Energy. Now, the Honourable member for Christchurch East Central, during the estimates earlier this year, launched an attack on the Honourable member for St. Michael's South East. He said that he sent money for Lodge Road to be done, and they didn't do it.